smalls is deles.
Occasionally, I do something called the 5-star shout out. I'm not gonna say it because I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You can't make you know what I'm talking about. Good morning. Welcome to the side, Jawn. It's Saturday morning. I'm your host, Sharon, chocolate writer. I'm joined with my very special guest today, Maria. Good morning, Maria.
Good morning. Hi.
You doing all right?
I'm doing good. Are you doing good?
Doing great.
Just posting the link so friends can see.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good today, Miss Maria. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on with me.
Oh, yes.
As people should be aware now, you're my political spirit animal. We love talking politics. We will talk about it all the time. So this is going to be nothing new. I promise you guys, this is not going to be argumentative and just annoying, tired. We're not doing that. Okay. So like and share the show, please. Let us know. Say hello to us in the comments if you're watching. I promise you that this will not drag on forever. I'm trying to keep this to less than an hour. And we're going to just give a brief summary of what we saw and what we're seeing from the election. And Maria, I'm going to start with you. Did the outcome agree or match what you thought it was going to be?
No. I wholeheartedly believe that she was going to win because, as you know, I already had my Madam President t-shirt on order. In fact, it should have been delivered the day after the election. All indications was she was going to win. I wholeheartedly believe she was going to take it. Now, who knew when a group of people got to the voting booth, they changed their mind? There was no indication that was going to happen. Every indication is she had 100% support from the biggest voting group there was in America. Who knew? Because I know she put the call out to her group. We all came out for her, except for what, 20%? Black people stood up for her. Black women stood up for her. I know. I canvassed for her. I was there for her. That first 44,000 call, I was on it. I was on the calls, all other calls on it. The sent postcards, did text, did phone banking. I was on there, did everything, even canvas on the weekends and canvas with people. Canvas even with other retired teachers, and they were upset when they had people said they were voting for Trump. And I was cool, calm, and said, hey, don't worry about it, just keep on walking. Some of those vote will cancel out their vote. And she was like, you're not upset? I said, they've got their mind. Like, just go with it. I said, don't get upset. Because I thought every indication she had it in the bag. Because every indication she had it. Who knew? Once again, people would vote against their own interests. Now, I never counted on.
So let's go ahead.
I never counted on Latino men. Well, let me put it like this. I counted on Black men and Black women to support her, but I knew we weren't the entire vote. I thought when she put the call out white women, because it was their main ones, it was in their best interest to support her, because it's women's rights, women's strive, women's rights were on the line. It was their interest that they would vote for their interests. Who knew they would turn on their own interests? Because I think that's the biggest thing that turns my mind, is all the strides in our generation, not as minorities, but as women, to get the right to vote, to get a credit card, to be able to work, the Equal Rights Amendment, and you turn your back on your own rights. You are the dumbest piece of shit I've ever seen.
Well, okay, Maria. All right.
I mean,
but listen, okay, I understand. You and I have been talking about this for 3 days now, so I feel you.
That's the only thing. It's not a minority thing. That's the only thing I have to ask is, why would you turn on your own rights? Because you've got to believe Donald Trump is going to do what he said. He demonstrated in 2016. You got to believe he's going to do it again. It's already demonstrated. People are losing their rights now, and he's not even in office.
Well, let me give you my perspective on how I felt. I felt like she was going to win. I believed it so strongly. Remember, I went to bed before 9 o'clock.
You did.
I didn't even watch the election. I didn't feel like it. I was emotionally drained. And my intention was
North Carolina was up. I said he's up.
My intention was to watch, but I was so emotionally drained that I just couldn't do it. So I talked to you. You were the last person I spoke to before I went to bed. And I decided I'm going to bed. And I said, well, if you're going to be up, text me when she wins. That's what the last thing I said to you, besides good night, before I went to sleep. And when I woke up the next morning and my phone kept saying from all these sources, he's the 47th president, I could not believe it.
No,
and I literally got an instant headache. Let me read this comment from our comments. Thank you. First of all, let me say thank you to everyone who's watching. Please, please, I'm begging you to like and share this show. Ramona Dye, I love you, Ramona. Thank you for watching. She said, how any man with a daughter could vote for Trump is beyond me. How any woman could vote for him boggles the mind. And I agree with you, Ramona. I don't see how anyone could vote for him, really, but especially women or anyone who loves a woman. I don't understand it. But, I've taken time to listen to a lot of people talk about it, sociologists, psychologists, whatever, political pundits and all that. But that's how I felt Wednesday morning. I think I told you this morning. I felt like I was devalued in this election. I felt like the country said, I don't care about women, and we don't care about you, woman, and we don't care about you, black woman, and we don't care about children, really. All we care about is money. That's it. That's what it said to me. That's what came to me when I saw that. They sold their soul to the devil for money that they're not going to even see, because this man has lied to them about what he's going to be able to do when he gets in office. He's not going to do any of it. He convinced them to not even read the Project 2025. They put it out on True Social. Don't even read it. Why did they put that out? Because they knew it's a bad document and did not want them to know what they were supporting. Mm-hmm. And so this is what I decided I wanted to do today. This is one of the things. I want to get into some of the things that this Project 2025 is going to deliver. Now, let me just say this really quickly. Project 2025 was written. There were like 8 people from his cabinet were involved in actual writing of this document. Okay. 8 to 13. I can't remember how many. Thank you for the stars, Ramona. We really appreciate you. And Tavai, thank you. Welcome to the show. Tavai said, I am convinced a lot of people cannot read. Okay. That could be true. I don't believe they want to read. But anyway, listen, let me say this. I am I want to talk about this before I get into this, Maria, because I'm going to ask you to tell us the same question. I am a very patriotic woman in this country. My father, it was a veteran. I believe in this country. I have followed politics since I was 10 years old. I vote in every election, every primary, every special election, unless I'm sick or I couldn't get off for work, earlier in my career or something like that. That's the only exceptions that I made. And I believe in voting. I raised my son to believe in voting. I have an American flag in my home. I respect the flag. I don't support burning it, but I do support protest. I support kneeling, kneel during the anthem and protest. I support that. I believe in our right to protest our country, and it does not mean we don't love our country. It does not mean that. Bless you. We love our country even when we protest. We don't have to love it only when we win. That's what Joe Biden said. We don't only love our country only when we win. And that is a true statement. That touched me. So I just wanted you to know who you're listening to give this summary today. I am a patriot. Now, I'm a true patriot that loves being an American. Maria, tell us in about 30 seconds to a minute how you feel about America. How are you? Are you a patriot?
Oh, yeah. My father was a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
We were taught to vote in every election. Mm-hmm. I was a political science major in college. Mm-hmm. Have worked on campaigns since I was in college in Ohio and Florida. Mm-hmm. In fact, my best male friend in life was a political campaign person. Helped on his campaigns. We believe in the process. Mm-hmm. To this day, even when you're disappointed, you pick up the pieces, dust off. And you look to the next one like, okay, local elections and midterms are coming up.
That's
what
right.
can we do?
What can we do? Because one of the things that how we were raised is we never give up. If there's something that we believe in, we never give up. We're both sides of my family. We are never give up people.
You learn the process. And when you want something changed, you learn the process. So if it's locally,
well, you got to learn it. You got to learn it if you want to change it. You got to at least be engaged in changing this thing. So let me read a few of these things that Project 2025 promises to deliver. Ugh. And the reason why I want to read this is because I have run across a lot of people on the other side of the aisle. That's how I'm going to call them. I'm going to try not to use the other person's name the least amount of time as possible. So here's what the Project 2025 promises to deliver. For education, his agenda for higher education includes creating a new free university called the American Academy and funded by taxing, fining, and suing private universities. Now, let me tell you the source of where I'm getting this information from. I'm getting it from a document created by a conservative. So I didn't go to the liberal side. I didn't go to MSNBC. I didn't go to anybody like that. Not even C-SPAN or NPR, because people accuse them of being liberal. So no, I went to a conservative site to get this information. Teacher pay and tenure. His Agenda 47 also anticipates an end to teacher tenure laws. These laws are described by the United Federation of Teachers as state laws that prevent a school district from dismissing a tenured teacher without due process. It's not that they can't be fired. They can't be fired without due process. All but 10 states have tenure laws in place. Okay? School choice. He backs nationwide universal school choice programs, which allow a student's allotment of public education funds to be transferred to non-public schooling options, including private schools or homeschooling. This comes as voters in 3 states, Nebraska, Kentucky, and Colorado, have rejected efforts to codify or expand this kind of school choice. Content restrictions. Trump's campaign, I said his name, his campaign has outlined a plan that features prayer in public schools. I'm all about prayer in public. I don't mind the prayer, but let's just say this is what it is. An expansion of parental rights in education. That sounds great, right? Parental rights in education? Yeah, it's a twist to that. Patriotism as a centerpiece of education. It depends on how you define patriotism. And an emphasis on the, quote, American way of life, end quote. He has also called for the dismantling of diversity initiatives in education and federal funding cuts for schools or programs that feature critical race theory, gender ideology, or other inappropriate, that's how they describe it, racial, sexual, or political content. Yeah, okay. Department of Education. His Agenda 47 campaign proposed eliminating the Department of Education, which, according to the Department of Education website, establishes policy for, administers, and coordinates most federal assistance to education. Most of it. The Department of Education provides programs such as Title I funding for low achieving or high poverty K through 12 schools in need of support. A lot of those schools are in Kentucky and Western Carolina. Just gonna mention that. As well as Pell Grants for undergraduate students in high financial need. Let me tell you something else the Department of Education is the #1 provider of funds for. Special needs children such as autistic children, ADD, ADHD children, children with any other learning disability. That's the Department of Education that administers that. He is seeking to get rid of that department and put one person in charge of it at his picking, of his choice, of course. And you know, all of these things, he's going to pick someone who's going to follow his agenda. Okay.
You know the person he was before.
Yeah, I remember Betsy, it was Betsy DeVos who was against public schools, period.
She's looking at being in it again.
Of course. I think he was having an affair with her, but I'm not going to say that publicly. But anyway. I just
that's so nasty.
Huh?
That's so nasty. He's nasty.
Well, yeah, he's gross. But anyway, climate change. He is looking to, first of all, get rid of the National Weather Service. Now, Maria, you and I grew up in Ohio. That's the Midwest, a state with a heavy occurrence of tornadoes. The National Weather Service has literally saved thousands of lives in our state, just in the state, one state, with their early warning system. Those of you who have never been involved in a tornado, you have no idea how few seconds you have to react once a tornado forms to get out of the way. It's not like a hurricane when you get days notice and you get time to pack up and leave if you have to, board up your house, do all that. That you don't get any of that with a tornado. So he wants to get rid of the National Weather Service that's able to provide protections and early warning against these events coming. Why?
Now,
and somebody asked the question, why would he want to get rid of that? Why? He don't want to keep people safe, but he loves America, right? And he loves you, but he wants to get rid of a huge protector of people. Go ahead, Maria.
Now, you know how much I love Florida.
Yes.
How much I love being near the beach.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Unless I have an app where I can know where the weather's coming from, because we have so many hurricanes here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we might have to move.
and look, all those apps, guess where they get their information from? Two places.
The NOAA,
the NOAA, which he also wants to get rid of, the National Oceanic and something Association, and the National Weather Service.
Well, the only saving grace I would say is the apps would have to revert to the European models, the European weather services for us to get information. And we would have to pay for it. It would be necessary, but we would have to go to the European weather services and pay for it because he's an asshole. I would think he would be talked out of that one because that's kind of necessary to keep the military going, because the military will need to know the weather. Even just to keep the business on.
The next thing he also wants to get rid of is the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. The Environmental Protection Agency has been responsible for researching, developing, and getting implemented laws to protect our rivers, our streams, our trees, our soil, our air, our water, all of it. He wants to get rid of it. Why? Because it costs money for these big corporations to properly dispose of their waste and their toxic chemicals. It costs money to emit less toxins into the air. And he's all about big corporations. He wants them to have more money, because if they're happy and they get more money, they will give him more money. This is all about him and his pocket. So that's why he wants to get rid of the EPA, and he doesn't care about it affecting even his own water because he's a billionaire. So he can always ship in clean water for him. He doesn't care about if you drink water and breathing air and dying, as long as he's got money.
What is wrong with that whole thing? Here's what's wrong. If you don't do the basic care for some of your workers, then you won't have anyone to work for your business. You don't take care of the people.
But remember, Maria, he's a billionaire. He can just bring more people in for his business. He doesn't care about your business, but long as his business can operate, he'll just bring people in from out of the country. See, he'll do that if he needs to. He won't tell you, because remember, those are immigrants. So he won't tell you that he's bringing them in, right? He won't tell us, but that's what he would do, because it's all about him. Let me get to some of these comments, please. Hold on a second. Let me go back. Again, thank you to everyone who's listening, please, and watching. Please like and share the show. Okay. So Tavai Thomas says, I am not being contrived. I work with people, contracts, policy, and so many people do not understand or read. He got away with the Las Vegas strategy, loud, bright lights, and distractions. Amen. I agree. Ramona says, to make change, you must vote, not just in the presidential election. Get out and make changes in the general and primary elections. Yes, ma'am. I preach that to everyone. Fred. Hey, Fred. I was hoping you would show up. Good to see you. He said, America is going to America. And yes. Ramona said, Head Start programs will be gone. Yes. Trump wants to get rid of the EPA. Yes, I mentioned that. Hi, Dwayne. Dwayne said, America is a world power. What power has stayed a world power ever since humans developed governance and government? Okay. And yeah, Ramona said it was NOAA. I just can't remember what it stands for at this moment. And then Dwayne said, in world history, what world power has stayed a world power at least 1,000 years? Okay, what is that? Okay. Tavai said, Dwayne, you're right. A downfall is due, but one would think with all the education, technology, and systems in place that it would not happen like this. And Ramona said, don't get hurt at work, because he would like to get rid of corporations having to carry workers' compensation insurance. That was where I was going next. So let me put a pin there. He also is anti-union, anti-overtime. And he lied and said that he is not for tax on tips. He is one of the people who came up with tax and tips. And then when he heard the outrage, he started lying, saying, oh, we're not going to tax tips. We're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that. That's what they want to do.
They tax tips now.
Huh?
They tax tips now. What's quite
but he's saying he's going to, he wanted to make it mandatory across the board and high and blah, blah, blah. Now we're going to get rid of that. No, you didn't want to get rid of it. And you want to get rid of unions so that unions can't fight for anything. And the overtime rules. He hates overtime. He said it himself. This is not Sharon interpreting. He is going to make sure that overtime is taken away. And as a person who works hourly, I don't care what level you are. If you're working an hourly job, you live and die with that overtime. I know you do. That will be gone.
Be straight time.
And then the workers' comp. Yes, he wants to make it so corporations don't have to provide that. You're basically on your own if you get hurt at work to pay your bills, even though you're at home injured. Okay. So let's get back to the comments. Dwayne says, Ms. Tavai, this thing keeps moving. Ms. Tavai, all that don't matter because there's a huge wall that in front of every human, and that's imperfection. With that being said, with imperfection, humans are liable to be corrupt or corrupted, whatever. Fred says, good morning, ladies. Good morning, Fred. And Ramona provided that National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Yes, NOAA. Thank you so much, Ramona. Yeah, I mean, they study the weather. They study the weather all over the world and how it impacts us, how things come, the temperature of the whole earth, all of that. The ice caps melting, changing how we spin on the axis. And these people are talking about it's not real. Okay, fine. It's a hoax. Okay. Well, that's what he intends to do. Also, with Project 2025, one of the things they also want to do is repeal the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. They have leaders on their side who have publicly stated in interviews that women should let their husbands speak for them. And if they're not married, they need to find a male that they love and trust to be their voice. Women don't need to vote independently of their men in their lives. Let the men provide them with the information. I heard this come from their own mouths. It was not AI. I've heard it for years before AI. Yeah,
I've worked with women. I've worked with women that say, "Oh, my husband does that." I've heard women. I've heard women. They say, "Oh, my husband does that. I don't need to vote."
See, that's
see, that's a difference on how we were brought up, and I think that's a cultural difference. Black women were taught to be independent and forward thinking and make sure we always fend for ourselves, to be independent and to think. We always have a game plan.
I think a lot of that too, Maria, for Black women is that we've had to do it.
We had to. We've never had to. We've always had to not rely on something as a guarantee. Where right. I've seen the majority of white women are always saying, get married, find that husband, have that security, blah, blah, blah. That's their goal in life. Their mothers are always pushing them to get married at an early age, have that security, have that husband. We're taught, get that job, get that education, make sure we have our money, and then go on, because we've been proven to us there is no guarantee for us.
No.
There is no guarantee. There's never a guarantee. Because there's no fallback. There's no fallback for us. How many of us have put our faith into somebody and look at us and we are single and not married today? How many times has that happened to us? Because I can count it. Sharon can count it. We know a whole lot of people can count it. And the ones who've been able to get married 2 and 3 times, God bless you. But it hasn't happened to me.
Yes.
I've lived up plenty of people, and guess what? They left me in the dust.
Well, I'm going to read this comment from Frederick. Women surrendering to their husbands is also a churchy thing. Yes, because these men use scripture to justify their control of women. It's not what the Bible is actually saying. That's not what the Bible is meaning by what it's saying. But they use it to interpret it that way to justify what they want to do with their control over women. Ramona said Trump was a Democrat until he figured out he could never make it in politics as a Democrat. That is correct.
That is correct.
He actually has been quoted as saying.
They played it on tape where he said, if I ever ran for president, he would go Republican because they're the dumber group of people. He can say anything to them. They would be accepting, and he would win because they're so dumb. It's on tape. It's been played many times, and they're like, "Oh, he didn't mean it." Yes, he did, because you've given him exactly what he wanted.
Yes,
he's proven what he said. So maybe we are to change to Republican, talk their talk, and maybe we can unite this country by just going dumb Republican. Is that what we're saying?
Right. Well,
that's
what he did. He also said that he keeps Mein Kampf next to his bedside on his bedside table, and it's one of his favorite books to read. If you don't know what Mein Kampf is, Google it. Google it.
I believe it.
He has actually followed that book. That book has been the playbook for his entire campaign.
I think that playbook was for his whole life.
Well, that's the reason why he's been able to do what he's been able to do. Because on his own, he's not all that bright. But he was able to read that book and and read about the person who wrote it and follow his blueprint. That's what he's done here. Exactly. Good morning, Jonathan. Jonathan said good morning to us. And then Dwayne says, how can you get pure justice or fairness with humans being imperfect? You guys are speaking about fairness and freedoms. How can we accomplish when we as a people are imperfect? None of us can conquer the things that plagues our existence. We can't even conquer the biggest things with the humans experience, and that's death. We don't need to conquer death to treat people fairly, Dwayne. This is not about perfection. This is about having common decency and common sense. That's what it's about.
It's almost like we should go back to how it all started when people got out of slavery and started having their own towns and started their own businesses. When we had that, they got burnt up and hid. Because, think of the biggest lake in Georgia. That was a black town that they burnt up and got everyone out because we were prospering. We weren't bothering anyone. We had our own little town. Just think about it. If they had not bothered anyone in Georgia, would have been a bustling black city, wealthy, not bothering anybody. Now we would have poor white folks all around us, but it'd be wealthy black people in a black town. They couldn't stand that. So they burnt it down the ground, chased everyone, and then flooded it. Flooded to cover up what they had done because they realized what history would have done to them.
Well, this is the thing, Maria. That's not the only place that they've done this. And that's what's so horrifying about all of this. As soon as we do what you told us to do, you told us to stay away from you. You told us don't mix with you. Fine. So you put us over here. We made lemonade out of those lemons. And then you came and smashed the picture that the lemonade was in because you mad because we were able to do well for ourselves without you. That's wrong. That is what's wrong. That is. But you know why?
But you know why we always find lemonade? We'll always make lemonade out of lemons. Because where we all come from as a people is where God started from, Africa. The three major religions came from Africa. Also, if you think about everything that we use for major everyday uses, most of those inventions came from black people.
It came from.
And most white people don't realize it. Stoplights.
Listen, Maria, not only that, we've had to endure so much since we've been over here that it's in our DNA to fight and make lemonade out of lemons. That's just what we do.
So that's why this week it's like it's even at work, because I have a boss and we're just like exhausted, we're hurt. And I said, just take this week to regroup. And I said, usually I'm outspoken at work, but now I know, I'm like, okay, we know where everyone's mindset is now. Let's regroup. So now Maria's not going to be that outspoken. I'm just going to be like, oh, what I can do, regroup and change the direction of how, because our business is changing direction. So I want to make sure I don't really have to go find a new job, or if I do, I do it my way, not their way. So kind of adjust how you're thinking, regroup, don't show your hand, keep kind of quiet, say the word, and just regroup and just go on, because now when you see the person in trouble, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna make sure. Usually I try to support everyone's business, but now I'm gonna make sure I find someone. Oh, are you a black business? I want to make sure I support you first. I want to support our community first. I try to do it.
I think it's important for people to know, since you said that, Maria.
Yeah.
You remember during the campaign season, certain people made a big deal out of Kamala Harris's nationality or history or whatever you want to call it. Tell the people what yours is.
Oh, my DNA is 51% French, German, and I think it was 49% Ethiopian, Ghana, or something.
Right.
So I can support everybody.
So your natural parents were mixed. Is that right?
Yeah, but I support mainly identify black. But down in Florida,
so the reason why I'm pointing that out is because even as a mixed race person, and I have a lot of people in my circle, not a lot, several. Even as a mixed race person, they honor both. They honor their white side, they honor their black side. But what ends up happening, they get to a certain point when something like this happens, and then they go all out on the black side and they say, you know what? Y'all got it. Y'all doing okay over here. Let me go over here and help these people over here. It's not an anti-white feeling. It's just that they recognize that this side of them, their 50% of them, needs more help. And people are just not helping
But
them. It's not helping them. So they're going to lean in and get involved in that. I'm getting a sense or a feeling that that's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying. Also, we were raised by Black parents. My father was an artist. My mother was an educator.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're both were educators, Dad, But also, they always wanted to help Black businesses. They were always uplifting of the community. If Dad wanted, even today in church, he'll talk to the minority people. Oh, what school are you going to? Are you going to school? Making an encouraging word, making sure they're going to school, they stay in school. My mother did the same until she fell ill and then passed away. Are you in school? Even my roommate, when he wrote his book, he sent the book to her. It was like, well, how do we promote, even in Ohio? Well, how do we promote him? How can I promote his book? How can we get it out there? Promoting the community. How can I do my little part to help promote? So, that's what you want to do. Anyone can I help promote? I will do so. Because even there were stories on the road just to say, Kamala Harris, there was a guy, he was like an influencer creator, got to go to one of her rallies. And she spoke to everyone in the room. And he even said, she took a point to talk to everyone, turned to her staff and said, oh, he needs help with this. Make sure you get so-and-so in contact. She was networking and putting them in contact to help their influence in the networking in a business to help promote them. That's what we all need to do, promote each other. Now,
Right.
We know women who hate each other. Sometimes women don't promote women. Right now in my company, we have a DEI program where each group is promoted, Latino, Black, Asian. We Paychex has that. When a lot of DEI programs are going away, Paychex right now does still believe in it, and they faithfully have signature programs each month for those groups. I believe it or not, they do. I mean, they do. Each month you have one. So, and they believe in promoting. They will promote it. They make sure you get out there. Now, unfortunately for me, the way I look, and my name is Maria, they think I'm Latino also. Even though I'm under the Black group, I've gotten things for Latino because of my name. Here in Florida, my middle name's Yvette. So I've gotten Haitian also because it's French. So depending on come this season, January, I'm going to start carrying my passport with me because I'm going to make sure I can prove I am an American citizen, born and raised. Just because
you got to do that now. You
have
60
to do
years
it.
old, and you got to now. You got to walk around proving you're an American. It's just let me change something. Let me read this comment from Jonathan. Jonathan said, This election has shown us as Black folks that all we got is us. The question becomes, how do we regroup and push forward? I believe that there's a lot of truth to that. But that leads to my next topic. We only have about 10 minutes left, but that goes to my next topic. Why is it that certain people think that as Black people, when we say that we're going to support Black business and Black people first, that means we are anti-white? Why do people feel that way, Maria? I still don't understand that. Before you answer, I'm gonna give you this tidbit that I learned from a psychologist and a sociologist. Went to a workshop, and one of the things that they said is that people tend to think if they don't have everything that's in front of them, when somebody comes along, somebody's taking it away from them. He said, even if it's not true, there's space for everyone, right? But they also said, whoever is in control, that group that's in control, they cannot say that the other people are coming to take stuff away from them because they're in control. You see what I'm saying? They have everything. You're not losing anything. But as long as you treat other people right, fairly, and bring everybody into the umbrella, you don't have to worry about it. But inherently, they're not like that in this country. And that is the reason why they tend to feel that if anybody else gets anything or talks about anything that does not circle or revolve around them, then it's anti them. Your response.
Because they know what they're doing is wrong. Deep down inside, they know they're wrong. Have you ever seen, there was a little white lady. I don't know if she's still alive or not, but she was an advocate getting on white people to treat black people correctly. And when they act racist, she would call them out and make them apologize, because it's like, why, what's wrong? You're not treating them when they would do racist behavior, and they would get upset. She's throwing a teenager out. Well, why are you upset? Because you're being treated in a racist manner. And they would get upset. Why are you doing this? Well, why are you upset? Why are you being treated like a black person? Oh, because you don't like it. You don't like being treated like them.
You're talking about Jane Elliott.
That's her name. I can't remember. I just remember her. I always thought she was the only advocate. Is like, you know what you're doing wrong, and you're teaching. They've been taught since childhood how to treat us, to think we're nothing when we are better than them, because we know we're worth something. We have self-worth. We are better because we're taught to love everyone and treat God. If you're a child of God, you're supposed to accept everyone as they are. A true child of God. Yeah. We all know this.
Yeah.
You're supposed to accept everyone as they are and go on. So when we say we got nothing for you, to step aside and say, I'm not going to help you, are we really doing God's will? No. But we're done. You're tired. We've done our fill of helping. I'm like, think about the Asian people. Think of the Asian people who got tired where they had racism, and they turned to us and said, oh, help us. And I was like, why? You look down on us as being inferior, but you got treated like us. You put on your race when it says black, white, or Asian, or you white. Why? Why should we help you?
That leads to my next point, which is, right, why should we? Why should we do all this for everybody else when nobody wants to do anything for us? I don't understand that. But like Jonathan said, because somehow being pro-black means you have to be anti everything else. No, we don't. It's just like the Black Lives Matter. I have had so many conversations with people about why it was wrong for people to say Black Lives Matter. No, it was not wrong. And back to my psychologists and sociologists, minority groups need groups like that, because everything else is centered on the group that's in control. It doesn't matter if it's white people in control, black people in control, pink people, purple people, whoever is the controlling group. They don't need a separate group for them to represent them or speak to them, because they're in control of everything. They get control. They get everything 365 days a year. It's about them 365 days a year. It's not about these other people ever. So when you give them, so when a white person comes to me and says, well, why is there a BET? Why is there a Black History Month? Why does it have to be Black Lives Matter? You saying that we don't matter? No, you always matter. That's a constant. You always matter because you are the ruling group, demographic. That's you. That's you. But when a group is blatantly discriminated against constantly by the major group, then yes, you do need a reminder that they matter. But it doesn't mean that you don't matter, because remember, you matter every day. That's a given.
But
that's where the sense of Black Lives Matter comes from. I don't want to talk about the person who started it and how corrupt they took the money and all that shit. I get so sick and tired of when I'm having these conversations with anti-BLM people They always want to go to the fact that they were proven to be not so honest about some of the money. But that has nothing to do with the actual real movement. And the real movement was valid, and it still is. We do matter. Every group in America matters. It doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't matter what we are all Americans, and we all should matter, and we should have equal justice under the law. Period.
We should.
That's what this country is supposed to be about.
But what's about to happen is, if they do what they say they're going to do and dismantle all these programs, they're going to find out, even though Blacks are not the biggest group of people on those programs. It's their group that are the biggest ones on those programs, sitting on the Obamacare and the food stamps and rental assistance,
Medicaid, and welfare.
They've made us the faces, so it's always them to make a bad name. But when they come to find out, it's them. Because the reason that people have got to understand, the reason why FDR started all those programs, so they didn't rise up and overtake the government back when it was Depression. So when they can't, everyone's not working, everyone doesn't have health care, and they're so mad and upset, and there's another insurrection and he can't control it, that's because he dismantled everything, and he'll be running for the hills, and everyone's going to have to sit back and figure out how to fix it.
Yeah, let me get these comments in. Jonathan, Ramona said, I support mom and pop shops before big corporations. We do that big here in Durham, North Carolina. The mom and pops, that's the main focus of most of the people in my neighborhood and in my community. We do that too. Tavai said, because they think we will behave like them. That's the reason why they're so offended by Black Lives Matter. They're afraid. They think we're going to pay them back. That's what they think. Fred said it was wrong because America is conditioned to not like Black. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
That's very true.
Bo says, welcome, Bo. Bo said the amount of people that didn't understand that it meant Black Lives Matters too. It drove me crazy. Yes, it drove me crazy. They had to flip it to vilify it and make it sound as if we're being racist against white people. That's nothing further from the truth. Jonathan said this all speaks to the white fragility in this country, a term that a lot of white people are offended by and say doesn't exist, and that's just a racist term. That's what I've heard them call it. Mm-hmm. And then Bo said, same ones that don't understand what white privilege means. I always point them to YouTube. Pull up Tim Wise's speech. I believe it's called White Privilege and the Cost of Inequality to America, and check it out. Yes, Tim Wise does have that. I've heard it. I've played it many times. I've been a part of a discussion group that broke down his speeches. He is very, very insightful. Tim Wise. Go YouTube it like he suggests and listen to it. Before we get out of here, I wanted to end on a more positive note. I have gone over some of the things that Project 2025 promises to deliver. It's a bad document for all Americans, no matter if you're Black, white, Puerto Rican, Jew, Native American, Asian. It doesn't matter what your DNA is made of. Doesn't matter if you're a male, a woman, if you are transgender, gay, straight, if you are bisexual, asexual, or even if you're non-binary and don't identify as any of that. This is a bad document for all Americans. That's what Vice President Harris was trying to get people to understand. And let me say this last thing before I finish my wrap up. I just want to let people watching, if you believe that Democrats are for children being able to go to school as a boy and then come back home as a girl, that is a blatant lie. Democrats are not out here being supportive of sex change operations on children and prisoners paid for by your tax dollars. That is a lie. Lie, lie, lie. But they effectively on the other side has convinced millions of people that's what we mean when we say transgender rights. That is not what we mean. It is not. So back to my wrap up. Sorry about that. I just had to get that in because I felt like it was important.
But
one of the things I want to make sure we say.
Let me make a point. Let me add to that. People, homosexuality, transgender people have been around for centuries. People just didn't talk about it.
Yes.
People are talking about it today. That's the only difference. It's out in your face. People who went after little kids when we're growing up, y'all know in the families when you were around and people said, oh, is Uncle so-and-so near the kids? Go get him, go get him. Y'all know who that was. Y'all know you couldn't be around that person, special person in the family, because they didn't talk about it, but they protected you from that person. Y'all know. It's been around for years. It's just out in the open. So now no one wants to hear about it. So nothing's new. It's just open. And people don't want to hear about it. They want to go back in the box. Pandora's box was open a long time ago. Can't go back.
Well,
but they want to go back.
That is true. We can't go back. But something else that we have to stop doing is vilifying them. They are not pedophiles. They don't want to groom your children to be like them. That is a lie. It's a lie. In the data, and they also said, especially back when AIDS epidemic first started, people, non-gay people, were saying that the gay people were promiscuous, just slept around all the time. The data, now that we have data now that came out in the, I believe, the late 90s, maybe middle to late 90s, is that gay couples actually are more monogamous than heterosexual couples, and they tend to have fewer numbers of partners by the end of their adult life. So they're not just sleeping around with anybody like everybody said they were. So stop it. They're not out to get you. I have gay people in my family. I have friends who are gay. You do too, Maria. It's the way it is, and I don't love them any less. I'm heterosexual, but I believe they should have the autonomy and the right to do what they want. My religious faith, I will never impart on someone else. I'm not going to do that. My opinion or my thoughts on what that type of whatever is not important here as an American. It's about your right to exist. Yes, your right to exist. And nobody has the right to hunt down, chase down a gay man, tie him up to a fence, and murder him just because he's gay. No more than anybody has a right to chase a black man down and hang him from a tree just because he's black. I believe that with all my being. But to wrap up, I want to leave the discussion with something positive. There are many people that we know, Maria, who voted the other way, and their candidate won. Okay? And they're elated. They're looking at this full of anticipation and expectation. They believe everything is going to be great. Watch and see, it's going to be great. Then you have us on this side saying, okay, you got it. You won. You wait and see, because we have a different perspective. But no matter where you fall, if you're listening to this show, if you're happy about the outcome and if you're upset about the outcome, one of the things you got to leave here with is there's nothing you can do about it. It is what it is. But you, if you're upset, you have to keep going. You cannot give up the fight. President Biden said that in his speech, and it really resonated and sat with me. I'm going to be angry for a while. I'm going to vent. I'm going to say what I ain't doing no more. But then I'm going to dust myself off, and get back in the fight. I've been politically active since I was 10 years old. Not ashamed to say it. And after I lick my wounds and gather myself and study more of the data, because that is needed, then I'll be able to move forward. That's my parting words. What's yours, Maria?
Heal. Go for it. Enjoy this time now. We got till January 20th. Just go. Get ready. Put yourself in a better position. Watch what happens. And then when we have the opportunity, I always said it, always pay attention to surrounding. Never stop voting. Never stop voting. Vote in the local elections. Midterms are coming. Because if we don't get the House or the Senate, we need to make a change the midterms. Hopefully we have the opportunity to vote again. They don't do something stupid. I just pray that we will survive this because they need people to work. So just keep going and hope we survive it all. I don't think it'll be gloom and doom, but I think it's going to be a hard way to go economically. So
yeah, for all of us, and it doesn't matter which way you voted.
Exactly.
It's going to be all of us suffer.
We're supposed to be walking into our golden years to retire. We're not going to have the retirement that my father is enjoying. So just get ready. We're going to be working until we're like 90. So get ready. It's going to be a rough way to go.
This election right here extended my retirement out probably about 10 more years just by one election.
10 or 20 years.
Probably 10 or 20.
10
yep.
20.
But listen,
10 20 years.
I'm going to say be encouraged. Dig down deep in whatever sense of perseverance and determination that you have within you. Latch on to that. Be strong. Never give up. Prepare. It's time to get busy. You're going to be exhausted because whatever you're doing now, you're going to have to do 3 times as much of that to take care of yourself, to maintain your standard of living and not go backwards, to go after whatever dream you're trying to go after. It's going to be more difficult, but you can make it. You can make it. You can do it. Yes, you can. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, you can. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you voted for a candidate other than Vice President Harris, and you would like to come on to the show and have a discussion about it with other voters who may or may have not voted that way, please inbox me at Sharon Mullen on Facebook. Sharon Mullen, as it's Mullen. That's my name on Facebook. Just send me a message on Messenger or through the message button on my Facebook page. And send me a message and let me know who you are and that you want to come on and what you want to talk about. If you're brave enough to admit that you did that. Thank you, Marcus, because Marcus just put on there, they will never admit it. But anyway, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this. Thank you, Maria, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate my bestie and my spirit animal coming on. Today is Saturday, my favorite day of the week. And I want you to have a good Saturday and a good weekend.